Stay tuned for Retire Your Way with Dale Sudis, a leading financial retirement strategist and the founder of Sudis Financial and Insurance Solutions, right here in Fresno. Every week, Dale discusses pressing financial topics of the week, ranging from reliable income strategies to our financial markets, including Social Security, tax strategies, wealth management, RMDs, legacy planning, long-term care solutions, and most importantly, how to make sure you have enough guaranteed lifetime income to retire your way with choice and dignity. From taxes to trends to total transparency, Dale covers it all. And now, here is Retire Your Way and Dale Sudis. This is Retire Your Way with Dale Sudis of Sudis Financial. Dale, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for coming out and doing this every single week, a full hour of programming on financial news, noise, and what you need to do about it. Dale, how are you doing this week, buddy?
Doing fine, doing really good, keeping busy too. Yep.
Oh, come on. All of your emails back and forth are telling me how busy you are, You got all these appointments and the phone's ringing off the hook and so forth. It does seem to be a really busy year so far, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots going on, lots of questions people have with the new administration and how it affects them. I've actually had someone who called in because he did get that email about, what do they call it, the fork in the road, and, am I ready?
Yeah.
And we had to kind of quickly I squeezed him in to just go through the numbers and say, yep, you'll be okay. Just, if you have to do it.
What a relief that is.
Yeah.
Folks, if you are just joining us or if you didn't hear last week's program, there's the federal government announced the deferral resignation program, and there are hundreds of thousands, if not a couple of million federal employees who are nervous, scared, confused, unsure, or thrilled.
Yeah, or
they're
thrilled,
like, yeah, fine, I'll take it. But they're just not sure about the numbers. But this kind of thing happens. This kind of thing happens. And in fact, it leads me to a first question. I want to know a little bit more about that person. So if you can remember some of those details, I'll ask you in a second. But that is something that we do hear a lot. I certainly have heard it at parties and gatherings and just, random people at events that you meet and say, I'm never going to retire. Either I love what I do, or I don't think I can retire because I don't know if I have enough, but I'm gonna work forever. I'm gonna work as long as I can because I like to or because I have to.
Right.
Dale, is that a good perspective to have on our industry, whatever it is that we do as we get older?
Well, I would say, what's your backup? What if, now, for those who love what they do, great. A lot of them tell me, I may not want to be working 40, 50 hours a week. I'm going to cut back. Maybe I'm going to do, 2.5 days a week or, whatever. And they really enjoy what they do. Well, great. That's fine. What if you don't really want to, keep working indefinitely? And you just don't think you can retire? Then we need to put our heads together and find out, well, can you? I mean, what do you really need to pay the bills and so on? And that's what we do specifically, is help people put together a retirement income plan so they know their income will last. So there could be a variety of reasons. To me, it's very satisfying to show somebody who, like recently I had somebody come in and she wanted to retire right away. And I think I've said this before. And we looked at where, what she has and what she needs and so on. And I told her, you could stop working today. And so they strategize as to, when it makes most sense. And a lot of them, it's like within a few months, or sometimes maybe it's a year later. But if you know you can retire, your money will last, your income will keep up with inflation and last as long as, age 100. That's what I put it out to for the women. Age 100, will it keep up with inflation and last? Then it takes the pressure off of, can I, to, well, I can. And then it's a matter of, do you want to?
Yeah. Or what I always like that you say is, there's a big difference in going to work because you want to, or knowing that it's your choice as opposed to you have to.
Right.
A kind of a relief, a whole burden that is just lifted off your shoulders walking into the door going, you know what?
Yeah, like
my manager says the wrong thing to me today.
Or there's one couple I've been working with for a while, and we're kind of going back and forth on things. And, he loves what he does. He's, less than 10 minutes from work. He loves what he does. And he said his worst day of the year working is her best day. In other words, she comes home stressed all the time. And it's like, why? And he even says, you don't have to, my income's fine. And, we could, you could retire early and take the stress off. It's not, I mean, think about it. Especially if those of you who have a very stressful job and you would like to stop working, I mean, it's even better for your health to retire early if you can. And so,
Oh, I didn't think about that.
so
Your longevity.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
The stress factors, the stress on
yeah,
our heart, the stress on our bodies.
yeah,
And there's different kinds of industries. I mean, I think 50, 70 years ago in this country, retiring at a certain age made sense. There was a lot more manual labor jobs, even from manufacturing. And again, you're saying that I'm going to work forever. Look how the auto industry changed in the late 70s and 80s as robotics came in and replaced human jobs. We're seeing some of that a little bit with the AI, not people getting completely replaced, but maybe
yeah, things
consolidating
change.
positions because
Yeah.
certain things are being made a little bit faster to do,
Or
and
even,
even
I mean, things can happen. I had one recently on his very first appointment. He said he just had an appointment with his doctor, and because of an injury, he cannot go back to work. And it's like, okay, it's a force.
oh
So sometimes things happen. So
yeah.
that's where it's wonderful to be able to take people by the hand, say, okay, well, what do you have saved up? What's your projected income? Or what's your current income, and so on, and show them, well, here's a way you can have income that lasts and your money won't run out. You can have, basically, like we preach, you need a paycheck to pay the bills, you need a playcheck to spoil your wives and the grandkids, right? That's probably the priority. And then you need a care check when the play stops, when you need help or care. How do you keep yourselves out of a nursing home with in-home care or some kind of cruise ship on land assisted living care without having to buy that long-term care insurance that you may not need? So we build all that into your plan, and it's very satisfying to me to be able to help people see that, and they relax. They feel good about their future then. So there's other things that hold people back too. We talked about that before, where it's,
Well, fear and worry, but I mean, you've already given me two different scenarios. One was you were being phased out, and I'm very glad that the person called. If you're a federal employee still, if you're dealing with this, if you're wondering what to do, Dale and his team would be happy to talk to you. I understand it can be a confusing time right now. Call the phone number, 833-856-1382. We'll just schedule a time for you to sit down with Dale. Second one, you just said the physical part of it. Maybe we're no longer able to, whether it was injury or our body just can't keep up. But then even the industries themselves change, and maybe just keeping up. I'm going to use this one out here because I know it happened a lot with my folks, is the real estate industry. And it's totally different than when my parents and my father has had his own firm for decades. That, people are now texting you at 10, 11 o'clock at night. They see a posting of something online. They want you to get back to them right away, or they're texting at 6 a.m. because they're on their way to work. And, you might just get to a point in your life and say, I love my industry and what I've done, but it's changed and I don't want to keep up with it in that sort of way.
right.
When you experience that kind of change, Dale, again, isn't it better to know that it's an option to work instead of a have to work?
Well, exactly. Again, like you said, like we've been saying, sometimes people have very physical, demanding jobs, and if the body wears out, do you have a plan? If something happens where you don't go to that point, or that you don't work that extra 5, 10 years or whatever. If something happens, can you retire sooner? You've got to have a plan.
For your own complimentary Retire Your Way review, call Dale Sudas of Retire Your Way and Sudas Financial at 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Yeah. So maybe you're ready to retire. Maybe you don't know if you have enough to retire. Maybe you're on track, and maybe you were phased out. But I like the concept of try not to be phased if you're being phased out.
Yeah.
At least take action.
Right.
Don't sit at home. We totally empathize that it can be confusing, but there's no reason to feel like you can't reach out to a financial planning team. This might be a time when you want to hide that you're embarrassed. Please do the opposite. Reach out. Lean into the confusion and go, I want to do something about this. Dale, are you scary to sit across from when people come in and they're, a little confused, they're a little worried about stuff? Are you going to look at them and tell them what they did wrong?
No. People often say, well, you're just like what you sound on the radio. And I kind of, I guess I can't be something different. But no, it's a relaxed setting. We just get acquainted. Think about it. The most important thing I want to know about you when you sit down with me is, well, what do you want your retirement to look like? And keep in mind, even if you are already retired, I get a lot of those people who just want to, have an extra set of eyes looking at what they have and what they're doing and make sure that their money will last. So what do you want to do in retirement? I don't want people saying, I'm going to travel, I'm going to take care of, or spoil the grandkids. I'm going to join a country club. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to do all these things. And then they retire and they do nothing because, just in case we can't go spend that money, and that money goes to the kids, and what happens? The kids do all those things you said you're going to do. That's living a just in case retirement. I don't want that for you, the people I work with.
Yeah. Folks, you can call that phone number right now. People are standing by. We can get you in. You can sit down with Dale. Yeah, you might be thinking to yourself, I'm going to work as long as I want to. Or maybe the industry has changed, or maybe something has been phased out. No matter where you're at, you need to have a plan for your retirement. And you can do that with Dale at no cost. 833-856-1382 is the phone number for you to call to sit down with Dale and his team right here in California. 833-856-1382. More with Dale Sudas and Retire Your Way, California, right after this.
How do you know if you're retirement ready? That's a question many people ask themselves as they approach their golden years. We believe the answer can be complex and depends on many factors, such as your savings, monthly expenses, and lifestyle goals. At Sudas Financial, we can help you determine if you're retirement ready. We'll work with you to assess your financial situation, identify any potential income gaps, and develop a customized plan that aligns with your goals. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Call us today to learn how we can help you work towards achieving financial security and peace of mind in retirement. Call Dale Sudas and the team at Sudas Financial for your complimentary retirement readiness review. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Which will you spend more money on in retirement, food or healthcare? Do you take your investments out of the stock market now that you are retired? Will your Social Security check be reduced in the future? How do you produce income from your nest egg to fight costs like taxes and inflation? At Sudas Financial, Dale Sudas and the team take the guessing out of retirement planning by devising a written plan that accounts for all of your concerns. The bigger question, are you going to be okay in retirement? Find out the answers to your retirement questions by calling Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial and Retire Your Way. 833-856-1382. Income, investments, Social Security, Medicare, longevity, healthcare. We cover these solutions and all of those other questions on your mind to answer, are you going to be okay in retirement? Call Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial and Retire Your Way. 833-856-1382 for your own complimentary retirement plan meeting. 833-856-1382. This is Retire Your Way with Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial. A lot of folks are concerned right now, whether it's economy, whether it's taxes, whether it's industries changing, or just kind of feeling like you're getting a little bit older in the workplace and you don't know, do you still have a place there? Can you keep working? Please don't feel badly. You're not alone. We're all going to get older, but you don't have to try to figure all of this stuff out on your own. You have a resource here. You can call Dale. There's no cost to sit down with him. He's not going to charge you. You don't have to become a client. There's no obligation. If you're worried and concerned keeping you up at night, please feel free to reach out to us. 833-856-1382. It's going to go to our secure call center. It's not going to interrupt the show right now. We're not going to splash your personal information out in the airwaves. You're going to sit down with Dale privately. So
Right.
Dale, in fact, you said that we did get a federal employee who called. We're so glad that you did. And so what, you were able to squeeze him into the office somehow last week?
Well, yeah, actually, we had our initial visit where I got the overall picture of where he is, what kind of savings and stuff, and what they want to do in retirement and so on. And then a couple weeks later, I got the panic call, which was that week of the 6th, and he got that email saying, fork in the road, and he was in a panic. I could tell, and I said, well, I'll squeeze you in tomorrow at lunchtime. I set it up so we could be on Zoom together. So I didn't even have all the details yet.
So he was maybe even kind of at work or somewhere, but you were able to set up a Zoom appointment. So number one, you could squeeze it in quickly. And number two, they could conveniently stay where they were at.
Well, plus I can show them my computer screen and the planning, software I use. So I still had to ask him questions about, really what is your budget? In other words, what do you need to pay the bills? What do you need to do the fun things you guys want to do? He hadn't gotten me that info back yet. So I told him, you need that, we need to be ready with that info. I needed some other projections of Social Security and other things. And then I plugged in as we talked, and he saw me typing it in, plugging it in, and he realized, and I showed him, you're going to be okay if you want to take the money and run. So sometimes we get that, with people in a panic. I mean, sometimes people have loved ones in a nursing home. What do we do? What do we do? It's the same kind of thing. We take care of them right now. So he needed help right now, and he was able to see his plan and project it out to his wife's age 100, and they would be fine. Their money's not going to run out.
Okay. Now, just a little bit of information, because a lot of folks are dealing with this right now. Here's somebody who reached out to you. They weren't at their retirement doorstep.
No.
This was something where the world shifted on. About how oldish were they, if you don't mind sharing?
Little past mid-50s. So he was a ways from,
All right, so he's
young.
Do you think he's interested? Not only from this triggering event, he wanted to know what to do. Is this somebody who's going to continue working? Because federal employees are sometimes they're available for that pension, but I don't know with this deferral, all that kind of stuff. If they're going to continue to pay healthcare costs, there's got to be a lot of questions. So was he going to work maybe afterwards?
Well, for him, I think he had an opportunity to do run a small business on the side that he could do. But even his retirement wouldn't be dependent on him doing that, which was the nice thing. So he could be busy doing something he enjoys doing, make a little bit of money on the side, but that wasn't critical, or his retirement wasn't dependent on that additional income. So yeah, and his wife.
Okay, was he married?
Yes.
Oh, thank you for where it was going. I was like, is he married?
Yeah,
because that's important too.
Yeah, and from what I remember, I don't think she's working at all. So again, they'll be okay if they wanted to just take that option, take the money and run, as I call it. They would be okay. And so we'll see what happens as all that stuff unfolds, right?
Yeah. But you know what, though? This was a triggering event for this person, and clearly understandable. But what I'm curious about is, for other folks out there are independent studies that show that actually working with a financial advisor can increase your returns, can help you grow your nest egg. It's kind of like working with a financial trainer. If you go into the gym, you're going to get in a little bit better shape. But people think that there's costs and it's cost prohibitive. What do we need to do to let folks know that you don't have to just keep listening to the radio program, which we want you to do, but you can call, you can actively find out where you're at right now, even if there's nothing you need to do for 2 or 3 or 4 years? Wouldn't you rather have that comfort, that peace of mind, if not just for yourself, for your spouse, to know that you can take care of the family? Don't you hear that occasionally? It's like, yeah, I've been listening to your show for years. I heard your commercials for years, but finally decided to come in. Like, really?
Oh, yeah, that's very common. And there's several even recently where, they're still a ways from retiring. And so they just wanted to see, is there anything I should, adjust in how I'm saving or how I'm investing, and things that I can do to improve, make it so that my retirement will be solid. And, again, we say it doesn't cost anything, and it doesn't, because unless there's something really that we need to work on together, and there's financial tools that we use, then you'll know what they are, how I get paid. But for the most part, well, for everybody, if you just want to have your plan reviewed, even if you don't have an income plan,
Yeah.
it doesn't cost a dime. I could technically charge for it, but I don't have to do that. I don't want to do that, and I won't do that. If we want to work together, and there's things that we can, financial tools we can put into place, you're going to understand how we get paid. So,
And you can get your own written financial income plan from Dale and his team at no cost to you. Just call the phone number, set up your appointment. Of course, we need to go through your particulars and kind of figure out where you're at. Takes homework and time, but we just want to make sure that you can be and stay retired, or that you are on track to be and stay retired. 833-856-1382 is the phone number. Quick question for you. Again, these kind of things that we hear around the water cooler or friends or family say at times about certain things. If my 401k has done well, I've saved, I've got a decent amount in saving. I'm going to be honest. I heard my uncle say this recently. He said, look, I've done a fine job. I don't need a financial advisor. I don't need to move my stuff for my 401k, or I can see my accounts online. I'm doing fine. I don't need any help. Isn't there a big difference going from accumulating to making sure this money lasts in retirement, Dale?
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people, you have this big lump of money. You've got 400,000, 200,000, you got 2 million, whatever it is. How does it equate when you retire? You don't have that paycheck coming in. And if Social Security is not enough, even if your pensions are not enough, how do you structure some of your retirement savings to produce some additional income so that you can keep going? And, we preach about this in our events over at Fresno State, the sequence of returns. You got $1 million saved up, and the stock market's going up and down, and you need X amount of dollars coming out of that. Well, if the market's going up, you don't have to sell as much of your principal. In other words, you don't have to sell as many shares of that fund to get the income. But when the market goes down, you have to sell more shares to get that same income. A lot of times people think, well, what kind of interest can I get on this lump of money, thinking they're going to live off just the interest. So the sequence of returns or trying to live off of interest or dividends from just your investments typically fails more than half the time. So I want something that you can count on if indeed you need additional income. Otherwise, what can that money do for you, or what do you want that lump of money to do for you and or your family? So there's a lot of questions. It's just, again, there's no cookie cutter answer. It's everybody's different. And but just having a big lump of money, that feels comfy. Oh, I'm happy.
That'd be nice. Right.
Yeah.
What do you do with it?
You need income, right? That's what maintains your lifestyle. Right now, if you're working, even if you're retired, you got Social Security and pensions, your income determines what you can do month in, month out. And especially if you're retired and you don't feel like you can do as much, but you got that lump of money, well, let's put a little bit of it to work so you can do more of the things that you want to do while you can.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, and I believe I've experienced this myself, is that you have a 401k. They're probably one of those big providers, or at least the holding company is. We all know the names, the Schwabs, the Fidelities, the Vanguards, whatever is down there. But your 401k provider, or who's ever managing that, they really didn't give you that much help. You picked the funds, you put the money into it, you asked them for your tax returns at the end of the year. Maybe you could download it. But if you're moving into retirement, then if you contact them and say, well, what do I do now? They might say, oh, well, we've got this other person that you can contact. And then all of a sudden you've got an advisor, but it's part of a big national firm. They don't know who you are. I'm not saying they're not going to get to know you, but it's very different than having somebody who's local, who is going to tailor it, who's going to make the story and the situation and the plan about you, right, Dale?
Yeah, you got to individualize it. To understand the dangers of just looking at that big lump of money, the 401k, 403bs, all that, ask us for your own copy of the Baby Boomer Dilemma movie. That helps you to see the difference, how risky it can be just to look at that lump of money and not know how to produce it into a lifetime, retirement strategy.
Yeah. What Dale is talking about is he can give you free access to the movie, The Baby Boomer Dilemma. It'll be an online source for you, and it's important for you to take a look at it for your retirement planning. give us a call. He can get you that contact, 833-856-1382. You can also call that phone number to get started on your own retirement income plan. Call 833-856-1382 right now. Folks are standing by. They'll schedule that for you. This is Dale Sudas and the founder of Sudas Financial. Retire your way. Call that number. We'll be back after this.
For your own tailored written financial plan for your retirement, call Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial at 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382. Do you know how you'll generate income from your investments along with your Social Security in retirement? In our opinion, it's never too early to start the income planning process for your future. An income plan can help you work towards creating a steady stream of income to support you throughout your retirement years. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Take control today and start income planning for your retirement. Call the team at Sudas Financial so we can help you design a complimentary written income plan to help you live the retirement you've always wanted. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Inflation has risen to the highest level in over 40 years, according to the April 2022 U.S. Inflation Calculator. Will your investments provide you the income you need in retirement? Are you losing purchasing power of your savings to inflation? Simply stated, if the daily cost of goods and services is 8% higher and you are earning 4% in your investments, that money buys you less of what you need. Right now is the time to act to be certain you have an income strategy that overcomes the effects of inflation. Get your own complimentary retirement income review by calling Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial and retire your way. 833-856-1382. You might have the savings you need today to weather this storm, but how will inflation affect your nest egg 5, 10, or 15 years from now? Discover the peace of mind you deserve. Call and ask for your complimentary, no obligation retirement income review from Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial. 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382. This is Retire Your Way with financial advisor Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial right here in California. You can get your own retirement income plan done very simply by calling the phone number right now, scheduling your appointment. 833-856-1382. If you want to learn more about Dale and his team, you can go to Sudas.com, Soutas.com, or you can write Dale. See, I kind of mixed up in my mind because I was thinking about this. You can write him an email as well. Ask him any question you want to, about your retirement planning. Dale at Sudas.com. That's Dale, the at symbol, Soutas.com.
Yeah. You know, I did have somebody reach out just recently on an email, asked a question about could we possibly talk to him about Roth conversions, and yeah, we can.
Of course.
Just give us a call, come in, let's see the whole picture.
Did they give you an amount or anything like that? Or
no.
Okay.
I just, the point is, until I see the whole picture, I'm not going to say do it this way or do it that way.
Yeah.
And we might need to coordinate with their CPA and or my CPA just to make sure we crunch all the numbers so they understand, if you convert some of your IRA 401k to Roth, what's the tax hit? We, pay the tax today while taxes are low and we know what they are, instead of delaying it down the road when chances are they'll be higher. But, we look at that picture too. So it's nice when you're more than welcome to reach out questions. If I can handle it, the question over an email, I might ask you additional questions to get details and, but typically it's nice to set a time where I can really get the whole picture first, and it doesn't cost anything to do that, obviously.
All right. You can write Dale directly, Dale at Sudas.com. That's Dale and the at symbol, Soutas.com. Write him your financial question. Dale, I always like to do more case study. We've already been talking about some folks. Interesting. He said you had somebody in their 60s come in recently, but their main concern wasn't their portfolio. What was on their mind?
Well, actually, no. It's kind of reverse of that. I get ones regularly that are coming in. They're 60, 70, whatever. We're looking at their situation, and they happen to mention, well, I'm also taking care of a parent or parents, or the parents are at a point where they need help. And so I usually put their stuff aside. So, okay, tell me about your parents. What's going on? What do they need help with? Sometimes they've got some dementia, Alzheimer's, and they can't be left alone. Or sometimes, they're at an age. I mean, I've had ones, where their parents are in their 90s or even 100 and needing help. So, well, tell me more about what kind of help do they need? Help getting up and down? Yeah. They help, bathing, dressing, whatever. So there are programs that we can help them activate typically. So we have to get more info on their parents that can give them some income so that the family members can get paid to take care of them, or they can bring in other trusted ones and not wear out themselves. I mean, especially if you have your parents living with you and you're taking care of them, how can you get some extra money to get a break even, bring other people in to take care of them?
How do you do that?
Stuff like that. We can help. I mean, there are programs that are available to activate sometimes through what we call the long-term care Medi-Cal, which is different than welfare Medi-Cal. Sometimes it's through the VA. There's some, money that way. It all depends on the whole situation. And in California now, they don't even look at assets anymore. So it doesn't matter how much your parents own property-wise, account-wise, money-wise. They only look at their income. And so, and even if you've asked for this benefit through Medi-Cal and they said, no, you don't qualify, double check with us because you might not know how to structure things so they do qualify, or they may have given Medi-Cal the wrong info, and Medi-Cal is responding based on wrong information. So, and you got to put the right info in too.
Definitely.
So some things don't count as income, and you might tell them, well, they got this, and some of that income might not count. So again, just know that you have help if you're taking care of a loved one or you're concerned about that for down the road.
Call Dale Sudas of Retire Your Way and Sudas Financial for your complimentary Retire Your Way review. 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about these kids. I'm using funny air quotes, but the kids were taking care of their parents, 50s, 60s themselves. It's a lot of energy, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of resources. It's of course a lot of care. It's one of the greatest gifts to do, to be able to take care of our parents as they age. But, maybe you're continuing your working years as well. Maybe it's a lot harder for you to travel. And what Dale is talking about is there are possibly state programs that might be able to help you, or at least with some visitation help. And if you've applied or if you don't know, it is okay to reach out. Dale and his team have been doing this for a long time. Dale knows exactly where to dig and find out. And just like any kind of form of application, knowing how to fill it out properly, you might be able to actually find out a little bit of information.
That can help.
Yeah. And you don't mind doing that, Dale? Again, no cost?
No, we walk people through, depending on what they need on that side. There may be a small cost just to have us represent them and deal with the government agencies for them. But the key is, what about a lot of women? Unfortunately, women will stop working to take care of parents. And now how does that affect their retirement? Or it may be that the parents, they've got some assets and stuff. So we don't need to lean on a government program, but we need to structure some things so they can get the additional income needed to keep them, again, out of a nursing home, keep them in a home setting, maybe with family or some kind of assisted living cruise ship on land, as we call them, because some of those places are really nice. But sometimes people think they can't afford it when they truly can. But
the state of California is quite unique, and I mean unique in a good way as far as that. And the things that you've talked about, the programs that the state of California put together, really robust for people, really leading from what should be taken, for example, across the country. And I really appreciate you knowing about these strategies. Folks, if you're taking care of aging parents, if you're wondering if there might be help out there for you, go ahead and give us a call. We are not part of the government or Social Security Administration or IRS, but Dale has worked throughout these helping care communities and through all of this kind of registration you have to do several times, dozens of times, probably hundreds and hundreds of times. So you can give us a call. Thousands, if not. Yeah, exactly. Give us a call. Let us help you take care of your aging parents. It's part of the, I want to say, growing phenomenon happening across the country. More baby boomers turning 65 every day. 833-856-1382 is the phone number. You can give us a call. How about a little bit of financial fact or fiction before we wrap up today's show? How about this? Once you retire, fact or fiction, Dale, once you retire, you can keep the same portfolio as during your working years. You know, that portfolio got you to retirement. It's probably grown. Do you keep the same thing?
Good question. Recently I had a little lady come in and she's retired and she doesn't have a gigantic nest egg, and she knows she doesn't want to gamble on the market anymore, but she's not making anything the way she has it set up. So her money's actually going backwards when you compare to inflation. So it could be that situation where, no, there's some ways to have that chunk of some of your money safe, protected, and growing better than 1%. But then the people who have the larger estates and they've got all this money invested on the stock market or whatever, is that really the best way for you to have reliable income ongoing? Again, that sequence of returns, what does that mean? You have $1 million on the stock market and you're going to take 4% off of it every year to, $40,000 to fill in what Social Security and other. So you have enough income, an extra $40,000 a year income. But when the stock market's up, no big deal. But when the stock market drops, think about it, and you want that same $40,000 out, you're selling more of your stock, more of your principal to get the income. And so that sequence of returns, the ups and downs, doesn't pan out more than 50% of the time. In other words, fails more than 50% of the time. So if you do need additional income, chances are you don't want as much risk and you need tools to provide additional guaranteed income is really what I like to show people. But usually people want to lower their risk once they stop working. When you're working, the retirement red zone, let's be realistic. The 5 years before you retire and the 5 years after you retire are the critical times not to be taking a lot of extra risk, because I've seen it many times. People, hey, I'm going to retire in a couple of years, or I'm retired, but my wife's going to retire in a couple of years. And then because they kept their money on the market and the market crashed, the wife continued working another 6-8 years, instead of retiring right away. No fun to do that if you have plans to have, do other things. So the whole, how to keep your money, have the income you need throughout retirement. That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're trying to figure out what kind of portfolio you need from your working years to your retirement years, if you're in that retirement red zone, a few years beforehand, a year, 6 months before your retirement, maybe you're in the first few years of retirement. Do you know exactly how much risk you're taking in your portfolio? If you don't, give us a call. We'll do the portfolio review, the risk review, and your income plan for you at no cost. 833-856-1382. Dial that phone number. Folks are standing by right now. They'll schedule an appointment. More with Dale Sudas right after this.
Will you outlive your money? It's a scary thought, but it's a real concern for many people. That's why it's crucial to have a solid retirement plan in place. We believe that with proper planning, you can work towards making your money last as long as you do. Don't wait until it's too late to start thinking about your financial future. Call Dale Sudas and the team at Sudas Financial today to learn how we can help you create a retirement plan that can potentially help you obtain peace of mind and security for years to come. Don't let the fear of running out of money in retirement keep you up at night. Take control of your financial future today. Start your Retire Your Way review and financial plan by calling 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Will I run out of money in retirement? That's a hard question to answer if you've never been retired. How do you grow your investments without taking too much risk, but also considering what you'll pay in taxes? Should you convert your tax-deferred accounts into Roth accounts for tax-free growth later? Don't forget about inflation. Instead of questions about your retirement, turn to answers and solutions from Dale Sudas and Sudas Financial. Call and ask for your own complimentary retirement solution review. 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382 for your complimentary retirement solution review.
Welcome back to Retire Your Way with Dale Sudas, Sudas Financial. You can go right to the website, find out more about the team, live events. You want to see Dale in person? Ask him your questions. Go to Sudas.com, SOUTAS.com. We've got our live events listed right there. Do them right here in California. A little bit more financial fact or fiction, if you don't mind, Dale. Mind having a little bit of fun? Nope. All right. Yep. Okay. Well, you know what? We were just talking about the portfolio. And once you retire, can you keep the same portfolio during your working years? I think we kind of said that's a bit of a fiction, depending on the risk, depending on what you're trying to do. How about the opposite side? How about this? Financial fact or fiction? Holding savings in cash in retirement protects your wealth. Fact or fiction, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, yeah, you put it in the bank, you put in CDs and all these things that are, safe. Yeah, your money's safe. So that side of it could be a fact. But how about the little lady recently? She had, her retirement account. She didn't want it, on the market. She didn't have a gigantic amount. So it's, mostly like treasury bills, things that are more cash related. It's safe. But it's only making like 1%. And, to have the income she needs throughout retirement, her Social Security and little pension wouldn't be enough. So by having that put to work a little harder without any risk, helped her to know that her money's going to last, keep up with inflation and all that good stuff. So I've had others who, they retired, they moved everything they had to the bank, all their 401ks and stuff were converted to IRAs, so you didn't pay tax on it, but it was all in, bank savings and CDs and stuff like that. And think about it, even at the rates most bank accounts offer now, they're barely keeping up with inflation. So they retired and they retired their money, right? So their money's, not working as good, not as hard for them. So no, it's a myth because if you keep it more in cash, you need cash, don't take me wrong. And
but you need more like for like emergencies and for like immediate expenses, like 5-6 months worth of expenses, right? So there is a positive in having that account, but not all of it.
No, in fact, reality is I tell people, I don't want you living what we call a just in case retirement. So like this, I've seen this many times. People tell me I want to travel and I want to buy a boat or I want to spoil the grandkids more, join the country club. I have these hobbies and interests. So when I retire, I want to do more of that. And then they retire and they don't do any of them. And their money is safe and and they don't do all what they want to do. Or maybe they do invest and the money grows. But when they die, the money goes to kids. And what do the kids do? They travel, they buy the boat, they join the country club, they do all their hobbies and so that's living a just in case retirement that the families I work with, I tell them, no, I want you to be able to do all the fun things you want to do. There still will be leftovers to the kids, sometimes even more than you have starting out with your plan. So if you have things planned out properly, you can maintain a good lifestyle because you have the income and you'll still have money that can pass on to the kids if that's a priority or whoever you want beneficiary-wise.
All right. So holding savings in cash in retirement protects your wealth. We would probably prefer not all of your nest egg. No. We want a certain amount there for emergencies. That's exactly what it is for. So you don't have to take money out of a market to have it taxed. When there is an emergency, of course, your monthly bills. Does that mean, though, that we balance what kind of risk you're taking? Absolutely. That goes to the question even before. So what is your portfolio? It's assigning different jobs to the money. As Dale was saying, you're retired, but your money needs to keep working for you. You
Exactly.
can't let all of
Don't
your money
retire your money.
retire as
Yeah.
well. Don't retire your money. Folks, if you don't know exactly where you should be placing your money in retirement to preserve it, to protect it, but to have enough growth to beat inflation over time, give us a call. 833-856-1382. We'll do your entire portfolio and income review and that income plan for you, no cost. 833-856-1382. How about another financial fact or fiction here? How about this one? Financial fact or fiction. You should delay Social Security until the age of 70 for maximum benefits. Fact or fiction? What do you think?
It all depends. You make me think.
Well, I mean, I
So,
know that's first of all, that's the maximum age it grows to. You can, that's the
Yeah, it
number
grows.
amount for maximization. But there's also tax strategies that help you maximize. But should
Well,
you
yeah,
delay
let me
for
give
the
a-
maximum? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get a variety of people, and I have a different answer based on their picture. So I had one gentleman, I helped him. We've got some things set up so that when he's fully retired, he'll have some additional income that for he and his wife that they can't outlive, and it'll keep up with inflation, or possibly even beat inflation the way it's structured. But the question is, he's getting closer to retirement. And let's say this person's 68, going to be 69 this year, and so he realizes too, if he retires now, he's not contributing into Social Security for the next year or two, so he might not get the exact maximum that they're projecting, but he will get higher amount. So how do we put that? So he's close to now. A lot of times I will show people, yes, delay it to 70. So while, you're delayed and you're not working, we take out more from your 401k IRAs and either use that for income, and on top of that, convert some of that to Roth while you don't have the extra Social Security income. So you're not pushing, so you have more room to convert more of your tax deferred money to Roth, because you don't have that extra Social Security income that's going to limit how much you could put over to the Roth. So if we can, I'm always looking for ways to help people get Uncle Sam out of their retirement as best we can, minimize, even eliminate unnecessary taxes. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different things we look at. So delaying to 70 isn't always,
It's not for everyone, right?
it's not for everybody, but for a lot of people, yes, it's really smart, especially if you're married. Think about it. If the husband was the bigger, wage earner, wage warner? No, that doesn't make sense.
Wage warner.
But anyway, wage earner, and his Social Security is bigger than his wife's. So the beauty of delaying is, so down the road when she knocks him, I mean, if something happens to him, did I say it right this time?
Yeah.
Um,
You're watching too
then
much Dateline.
Yeah. She'll get the bigger of the two Social Securities. She'll get his Social Security and lose hers. So it can help for the long haul to really help, your spouse.
Get your comprehensive, complimentary Retire Your Way review by calling 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Yeah, just at least having the conversation. And how about, and I always like to caution on the flip side as well. There might be a lot of people saying, well, I'm not waiting until 70. I'm taking at least a full retirement age or even earlier, because we are hearing all of the reports about it not being there or taking a reduction. Any change in the climate in that conversation, in your opinion? Do you anything being talked about in the new, old, renewed administration about fixing Social Security yet? Is anybody bringing it up?
Well, even, what's interesting is the movie we recommend people watching, and you can get a free copy from us, reach out to us. It's called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. And it really goes into depth on a section of it on how they were working with, Washington, let's say, to fix the Social Security problem. The point being, there are ways to fix it. The ones who are thinking, nah, I'm going to take it as soon as I can because it's probably not going to be there for me down the road. But be realistic. If the government cut Social Security by 1/3, like it's, they might have to if they don't do anything, who's going to go crazy across the country? Everybody who's not only got Social Security, but who is expecting to get it. So the craziness of the riots, whatever, like France, probably worse than France when they raised
It was like 2 or 3 years ago, folks, if you don't know about this, the France raised the full retirement age from 62 to 64, and there was rioting in the streets. People were very upset about that.
So what would they do here? What would all the people on Social Security and or expecting to get it if they cut it or cut it back? So the politicians would lose their jobs. So they're going to do something. Like I tell people, an easy fix is instead of having people who make 100, more than 170,000 roughly, not pay into Social Security anymore, raise that to 500 or 1 million, or just eliminate the cap so everybody contributes into it. That would solve the Social Security, problem right away. But we'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm not worried about it. I would still plan how to maximize it. Mm-hmm. Don't plan how to minimize it by taking it too soon.
Perfectly said. Folks, you're listening to Dale Sudas, financial advisor. If you want to sit down with Dale and talk about Social Security, how do we optimize your portfolio? Are you taking too much risk? How do you create income that you can't outlive? How do we take care of not only ourselves and our spouse in retirement as far as healthcare? Maybe you're already taking care of your aging parents. Do you know all of the different state rules of where you might be able to get help? Folks, don't be overwhelmed. All you have to do is one thing right now. Pick up your phone, call the phone number, set up your appointment. You can have a conversation about whatever financially is on your mind for retirement. 833-856-1382 is that phone number. We're wrapping up right now. We'll still have operators standing by to schedule that appointment for a while, but call that phone number, or you can go to Sudas.com and learn more about the team, SOUTAS.com. For Dale Sudas, I'm Spike Spangle. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
As a valued radio listener of Retire Your Way, Dale and his entire team of retirement professionals invite you to schedule your very own complimentary retirement plan review session. 833-856-1382 is the number for you to call. If you don't have a retirement strategy mapped out that includes low-fee investment elections, tax minimization strategies, decumulation plans that will last as long as you need them to, then call for your very own retirement review session, complimentary for our valued radio listeners. Are you able to lower your taxes in retirement? Are you unclear about your Social Security, Medicare, investment fees and risk, or how to produce guaranteed lifetime income so your lifestyle and goals don't have to be changed with the ups and downs of the market or taxes? Call Dale Sudas with Sudas Financial and be confident you can retire your way. Schedule your own comprehensive and complimentary retirement review session. Don't just live in retirement, thrive. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and are not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Any discussions of specific strategies are for informational purposes only and have been provided to help determine whether they may be appropriate for your specific situation. If applicable, the primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Comments regarding a particular client's experience may or may not be the same as another client's experience, and is not an indication that any client or prospective client will experience the same or a higher level of future success or performance. Foundations only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Nothing herein constitutes a recommendation that any security, portfolio of securities, or investment strategy is suitable for any specific person. No legal or tax advice is provided. Please review your retirement, tax, and legacy planning strategies with a legal or tax professional before transacting or implementing any strategy discussed herein. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. This is not endorsed or affiliated with the Social Security Administration, any federal Medicare program, nor any U.S. government agency. If applicable, we do not offer every plan in your area, and contacting us at the phone numbers provided herein will direct you to a licensed insurance agent. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. All rights reserved.